Hi, so glad to be back on here and so good to have you join me on this fifth episode of Who You Say I Am podcast. Thank you for always tuning in. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. I encourage you to also subscribe and comment. Any thoughts, any words of encouragement will be highly welcomed, even sharing your story. Today it's going to be a pretty vulnerable episode. I'm here hoping by the I have sat down and I haven't brought any tissues close by, but I hope it won't be a SOB crying episode. I intend to share with you my story and experience with pregnancy loss, or rather, child loss. So let's dive into it. From the previous episode, you remember I shared about um, a son that we had, but we never really got to hold our second born son. He was born in 2022 October, but I'm not sure how to call it. Stillbirth. I don't think it's stillbirth necessarily describes the situation. Anyway, I think just taking you back to the beginning so that we understand what happened. So conceived in 2022, actually. I was supposed to be due in December, literally during the week between Christmas and New Year's. So, but we never got there. Like I said, the baby came in October. So I remember I'm trying to figure out where to start with the whole story. So my pregnancy with him was pretty easy as well. Like it didn't take me down, didn't slow me down. It was pretty easy. Like everything was okay. I was pretty, up and down with my firstborn, super active. He was a toddler then. Toddler, maybe around 3 years, 2022. Yeah, he had just turned 2 years, so he's about 2.5 years. So he was pretty active. So I was all over the place. But also work was busy. So I really didn't slow down with him. So I remember how I got to find out that my baby had stopped breathing in the womb was that it was just one of those days I was I no, it was actually at home. I was about to say I was at work, but I was at home. I just remember waking up one Friday morning. Was it Saturday? Saturday morning, waking up on a Saturday morning and thinking, I haven't had my baby move for a while. Like I even sat down on the bed and tried to remember when was the last time I had this boy move. And by this time, I am 27 weeks. So you know by this time that the baby is moving and actively moving. It wasn't the moves za kubahatisha, like the moves were there. And so trying to remember when the last time I had him move, I couldn't. I actually got scared that, oh my goodness, it's been a while since I had the baby move. And I'm just realizing it now. Like that was the strangest thing that I was realizing. I felt, well, a couple of days later, that's when I was beating myself up, thinking that it took me so long to realize that the baby didn't move. Of course, one of the guilt trips I took myself through was I wish I had realized sooner. Maybe something would have been done. So Saturday morning, I noticed it's been a while, and then that time my husband had traveled for a ministry engagement. on Friday. So I was alone in the house. I just texted him and then told him when I go to work, I will ask one of the sonographers to just run a quick ultrasound just to make sure that everything is okay. And so, because I worked in a hospital then, so it was easy, and I really needed to put my mind to rest or to be at ease with what's happening, just to make sure that everything is okay. So I get to work. The sonographer hasn't arrived yet, so it was a long wait between the time I got there and the time when the sonographer was coming in. So all that time I was praying and still waiting. Like, those moments where, maybe he will move. Almost like buying him time before I get into the ultrasound room to see whether he actually moves. So nothing happens. The sonographer comes. I sit, lie down on the ultrasound bed. Yeah, and he does an ultrasound on me. He's quiet. Like we know when something is wrong. Like he did tell me immediately, but yeah, like he kind of that ultrasound thingy. He really moved it. I think he was trying to look for the heartbeat, and by now I'm also waiting to hear a heartbeat. So that does not come, and so he breaks the news to me that he can't find a heartbeat, and possibly my baby has, there's a word they use, I do not remember, but yeah, so he tells me, yeah, there's no heartbeat. So imagine, there was no reaction. I just said thank you, went down the bed, went to my office, because like I'm still like, what are you saying? Like I don't know. Like I didn't know how to receive that piece of news. So I go sit in my office. I take a lot of time. Like I didn't even cry. I just sat there because I'm trying to process what that means. Like what does that mean? So I sit there reflecting, thinking. Do you know? I actually started putting my things in order. Like I started almost like a handover because I was in charge of admin. Like just writing notes, handover notes, finishing up work that was still pending. And all this whole time, I haven't even texted my husband yet. And it was a Saturday, remember, and I work half day. So I was trying to put everything like I felt the pressure of just making sure, bad habit, right? Just making sure that if I leave today, things would still run even while I'm away and absent. Because I knew there's no heartbeat. It meant that I still need to go to hospital, get the baby. I'm not sure the right word to use, but yeah, deliver the baby somehow. So I'd finish all that. In the middle of doing all that, that's when I text my husband and tell him this and this and this and this. So my husband had to cut his trip short and travel back to Kisumu. For him, he tells me like he was in the matatu and like all the emotions I think just came upon him. I don't think he sobbed, but just I think he took that time because he wasn't driving. He was using a matatu. He took that time to process. Um, yeah, so he got to Kisumu and I finished my work, went back to the house, and I just kept going. Like I was just I just sat there. I just sat in the house. And my husband gets home and he started making calls to some doctor friends of ours, finding out. He called my gynecologist first. He was out of the country. So we had to call a few doctor friends of ours to advise on the next steps. Me, I'm just seated there. Literally, I was numb. Like I would have preferred to pick up a mop and clean, literally. So one of the doctor friends advised us to go to hospital, and they'll help us with that with that whole process. Me, I wasn't even in a hurry to pack and go. I I think I was in denial. A part of me was in denial. Like I couldn't believe that this is happening. What do you mean I am going to hospital to do what? I'm not in labor. I'm not really yet. How is this process gonna look like? And let's just say that was um quite something. Like it was a tough pill to swallow, and I think I hadn't come to terms with what happened. So my husband helped me. This whole time, by the way, I don't want to do anything. I literally just dragged my feet. Like, yeah. So anyway, we eventually. So remember that was about 2 o'clock. Me getting to the house. Was it two? No, I think it was around 4 p.m. And then I remember we were leaving the house at around 7 o'clock. So that I really do want to leave the house. So eventually we get to hospital. A couple of our friends have already been notified, and um, they come home. We drive with them to the hospital, and I remember coming down the lift, getting to the parking, and at the parking, just whispering to my friend, "Help me pray for a miracle." I just remember, like, because she asked me how I'm feeling, how I'm taking it. I just told her, I am still here. We're going to hospital, but I'm still believing God for a miracle. Like, that was my prayer that time. Like, I wasn't ready to accept. I was, I was, I was desperately praying for a miracle because tell me what just happened. So we go to hospital, get admitted. Um, um, and like up until this time, I haven't cried. Up until this time, I haven't cried yet. I sit on the hospital bed. Of course, we still have company. Our friends are still there. Um, and I just remember feeling scared for when they leave, what could happen or what will happen. I kind of was okay with the company because it meant that I don't have to think about it. I don't have to face the reality of what just happened. But of course, at some point, and you remember now, my son is at home. My firstborn son is at home. I don't remember whether my husband went home. Yeah, I think my husband had to go home that night. So I was in there. I don't remember. I can't confidently say. I just remember there was a time during that night that I was alone in the room trying to sleep. Sorry, I think by this time a doctor had seen me, um, and they had advised that they need to induce labor. Remember, like my tummy was big, like I was 27 weeks. So the only way to deliver the baby was through the normal channels, inducing, pushing, and the baby is here. So I had already gotten the first dose of the drug they give for inducing labor. So I was just lying on the bed facing the wall, and I remember praying, not loudly. I whispered and holding my tummy and telling the Lord, let him just kick for one last, even if it is one last time, because at that point I was beating myself up because I do not remember the last time I had my boy move. Like I don't have any vivid memory of, oh, my boy has moved. And at that time, I really needed to hear him kick, even if it is for one last time. I remember asking God what happened because by that time we don't even know why he had stopped breathing in the tummy. Like they couldn't tell. Of course, we got to find out later on when I delivered the baby. So that was the first time I actually cried alone on the hospital bed in my hospital room, praying for both a miracle, but also kind of coming to terms with what has happened. For me, I think I had more questions than answers because number one, we don't know what has happened. Number two, I really had started blaming God for it all because I was there asking. I mean, you're the God of all universe. You're the God of all creation. You're the mighty God, all knowing, all powerful. You like for me, my only responsibility was to carry the baby, taking care of myself, and that indirectly takes care of the baby, like nurturing the baby while he's in my womb. I do not have control over what happens inside. And if it's anything that happened inside, the only person who had control over that is God. And He didn't do anything. Like, why couldn't He stop whatever happened from happening? So I really had my whole moment over there. And then to make it worse, labor kicks in. And you're thinking, I am feeling this kind of pain to deliver a baby that I will not get to enjoy and experience. Like it was tough. Like I remember, oh gosh, now I remember. No, my husband was actually in the hospital that day because Saturday night, labor begins. I delivered on Sunday morning, early morning at 5 o'clock, 5 a.m. I remember my husband drifting to sleep right beside me, and I'm in such a pain. Literally, actually, because of all the three deliveries I've had, this was the most painful. This was the most painful labor I have ever been with my three children. I remember just looking over at him, sleeping, and I'm in pain. You're not rubbing my back. You're not holding my hand. I'm in pain, and the more pain because I won't get to hold my baby and take him home with us. So I didn't want any. I just didn't want anything to do with both God and my husband at that time. So I mean, it had to happen. Like, got onto the delivery table, push, baby comes. So now the nurse lifts the boy up to show us what actually happened. So the cord had strangled him and it had gone around his neck twice. So it had strangled him to death. And those are now some of those things that I'm thinking, God, I'm sure you had control over this. Like, if you're the person we trust for our lives, I mean, this really has proven that you're not trustworthy. At least for me, that was my whole process of grieving, that the Lord had proved to be untrustworthy. That if He can't take care of, you know, innocent, nothing in His power baby, like his life was literally on upon God, and of course me taking care of myself. But I mean, God had all the power to change that whole situation. And so I saw my baby. He had a full head of hair, like he had two fingers, like he was fully grown. In my head, I was thinking if we had caught the whole situation earlier, probably he would have survived in a incubator in the neonatal intensive care unit. But I mean, we didn't catch it sooner. So I saw my baby. He was, oh, my baby. I saw him light skin as all my babies. So by this time, the nurse is cleaning me up, and I had to go back to the ward, and my husband had to work on some paperwork for how the body is gonna be handled post delivery. Yeah, so I go back to my room, um, empty-handed. I go back to the room empty-handed, and again, my friends are around, so I wasn't able to have a moment myself to think about that whole situation. I think the grief and the reality dawned on us when we were leaving the hospital, just the way we came in, just me and my husband, and by this time my son had joined us. Leaving the hospital, just the three of us, while we were supposed to be the four of us going home, having to look around the house and look at everything that you had started organizing to accommodate him. Yeah, it was pretty painful because we had started shopping for him. We had already started imagining him moving around the house. Yeah, so it was pretty tough going back to a house that did have him around. I remember, and like part of my grieving process was me wanting change. I really wanted change. I wanted to change jobs. I wanted to move houses. I wanted to move cities. I just wanted something different, and I'm not sure, and I haven't studied the grieving process. Um, I wouldn't know what that would mean, but I just remember craving change. I had three songs on my playlist. I remember when I got back to work, how I would just sit in my office, put those three songs on repeat on the back as background music while I was working. And my office is just right next to the front office, really trying to hide the pain and the tears. Because I mean, you can't do that in front of people. Of course, I couldn't hold it much longer. Whenever I felt as if I just needed to release, I would run to the washroom and do that. But I just remember even just my drive back home, listening to the songs, and just they helped me heal, but they also helped me grieve. One of the songs was Even If by Casting Crowns, Even Here by Rebecca Dawn, and Another in the Fire. And then there's another one by Hillsong, or I forget her name. Like I would sit in the car and cry and sob. Like how do you? And I think for the longest time I never thought that I would get over it. And in my head, I used to wonder and remember all the stories I've heard of mothers who've lost their babies and really empathize in this situation. Like having gone through that, really empathize with them and have a sense of how it feels. Something that we made sure to do with my husband is have at least daily check-ins on how we are doing. Like I think for us, grieving was both an individual process and a shared experience. Like I really needed to know how he's doing because it's very easy to ignore the man in this whole situation because oh, I'm the one who carried the pregnancy. I probably feel the loss more, but I know my husband was in pain, and I really tried to be intentional with finding out how he's doing. I had so many friends around me who checked in on me. So I feel like I had enough support, but I really needed to um, be a support system also to my husband and not ignoring the fact that he has also suffered a loss. So we were very intentional about journeying together through that whole process. Like you'd sit down and think about everything that you could have done right or could have done different. And I remember before that Saturday when I found out or realized that the baby hadn't moved, we had missed a doctor's appointment the previous weekend. So in my head, I kept thinking, what if we had gone for that appointment? Maybe they would have picked it up on an ultrasound that the cord is around his neck. Maybe we would have, if I had, if my life wasn't so busy and if I had just slowed down for a bit, I would have noticed sooner that the baby had stopped moving. Like I had a lot of what if moments, a lot of what if moments. What if, like even imagining how our home would be, even just approaching the delivery due date in December, like the pain of we would have been receiving our child right now. And so it was really quite an experience. Of course, at the beginning, I really didn't want to involve God in it. Me, I just wanted to cry. Like, I don't tell me sorry, don't tell me the Lord is close to the brokenhearted. Me, I just wanted to cry and go through that whole process without, all the comfort and words of encouragement. I just wanted to sit in my pain and go through the motions. Like, I think I got to a point where I was okay with just going through the motions like like a zombie. Just do what needs to be done, move on with life. I think it's amazing how I don't know how healing looks like for you or the right definition for healing, but even when I sit down right now and think about it, there's still some sadness that comes. You'd think I haven't healed. I think I have healed, only that I choose not to forget him and just keep his memories alive. So most definitely I would think back and remember and feel sad. The intensity of course is not the same as back then, but I think the Lord has brought us a long way. And today I just want to encourage every mom who has experienced loss. Ooh, the Lord shall restore, the Lord shall comfort, the Lord shall heal. Because it is true, He's close to the brokenhearted. He is there with you even in the pain. Believe me, I hope this will be a reminder to you. If you don't believe it, let this be a reminder to you that the Lord is with you even in the pain. He doesn't want to he doesn't want you to get out of it. Like he's not in a rush. He doesn't want to rush you to get out of it. Take as long as you need to grieve, to heal. But even as you do that, know that He is right there with you. He's right there with you. And some of these low moments are the times that we get closer to God. Possibly because of that exact word that He's close to the brokenhearted. He stays really close. So just lean into Him and just take the journey as slow as you want, but with Him. I pray for healing again. I pray for comfort and I pray for restoration for you.